Southport, England. A quiet coastal town known for its Victorian charm, seaside views, and family-friendly atmosphere. But on July 29, 2024, that sense of peace was shattered in a way no one could have imagined. A community center on Houghton Street was hosting a children's dance class. It was meant to be a day of fun, dozens of little girls, dressed in glittering outfits, twirling to the music of their favorite pop star, Taylor Swift. Parents stood along the walls, chatting and taking pictures. Laughter and excitement filled the air. Then, at exactly 2:45 p.m., the door opened. An 18-year-old man walked inside. Within moments, the joy inside that dance studio turned into chaos. Screams pierced the air. Children ran, tripping over one another, desperate to escape. The sound of a mother's voice, shrieking, begging for help, cut through the confusion. The man, later identified as Axel Rudakabana, was armed with a knife. He moved quickly, his path deliberate. In less than 2 minutes, 3 little girls lay motionless on the floor: 6-year-old BB King, 7-year-old Elsie Stankamp, and 9-year-old Alice da Silva Aguiar. A father who had been waiting outside rushed into the room. 2 others followed. They tackled Rudakabana to the ground, holding him down as police sirens filled the streets. Officers arrived within minutes. The first paramedics on the scene worked frantically, but it was too late. 3 innocent lives, stolen in an instant. A town in shock. A nation demanding answers. Who was Axel Rudakabana? Why did he do this? And the most haunting question of all, could someone have stopped him before that day? As the investigation unfolded, police uncovered details that made this case even more disturbing. Details that raised alarming questions about the system meant to protect the public. The warning signs were there. They had been for years. So why was nothing done? Let's go back to that tragic day, minute by minute. The Taylor Swift-themed dance workshop was meant to be a magical experience for young girls. A summer afternoon filled with music, movement, and joy. Parents watched as their daughters spun in circles, their tiny feet tapping against the wooden floors of the community center on Houghton Street. Outside, the streets of Southport moved at their usual pace. Families strolled past the shops. Teenagers loitered near the bus stops. It was an ordinary day. Then, at exactly 2:45 p.m., the door to the dance studio swung open. A figure stepped inside. Axel Rudakabana. 18 years old. Wearing dark clothing. A backpack slung over his shoulder. In his right hand, a knife. For a few moments, no one reacted. A handful of parents assumed he was just another student arriving late. But then, a scream. One of the instructors noticed the blade. Confusion turned to panic. The children, no older than 6, 7, and 9, froze. Some clung to their friends. Others instinctively backed away. Then, chaos. Parents lunged for their children. Some ran for the exit. Others threw themselves in front of the young dancers, desperate to shield them. But Rudakabana moved fast. There's a man with a knife. Kids are screaming. Please hurry. The voice of a frantic mother, heard on the 999 call to emergency services. 6-year-old BB King was standing near the front of the room, her small hands gripping the hem of her tutu. She didn't have time to run. Neither did 7-year-old Elsie Stankamp. Neither did 9-year-old Alice da Silva Aguiar. It happened in seconds. One of the dance instructors tried to intervene, tried to stop him, but he pushed forward. More screams. More desperate voices calling for help. Outside, 2 fathers, both waiting to pick up their daughters, heard the commotion. Without hesitation, they burst through the doors and ran toward the sounds of terror. What they saw would stay with them forever. One of them tackled Rudakabana from behind. Another grabbed at his arms. A third bystander, an off-duty security guard, rushed in, helping to pin the attacker to the ground. The knife clattered against the floor. By the time the first police officers arrived, it was over. Rudakabana lay motionless beneath the weight of the men restraining him. His expression, empty. Paramedics worked quickly. But the damage had already been done. BB King. Elsie Stankamp. Alice da Silva Aguiar. All 3, gone before they even reached the hospital. 3 families shattered. A town left reeling. A country demanding answers. But who was Axel Rudakabana? And why did he do this? As news of the Southport dance class attack spread, shock turned to outrage. An 18-year-old had walked into a children's dance class and carried out an unthinkable crime. Now, the question on everyone's mind was, why? Who was Axel Ruttekabana? And were there warning signs that should have stopped him long before that day? Police wasted no time searching for answers. And what they uncovered was disturbing. Axel Ruttekabana was born in 2006 and grew up in Southport. Teachers described him as quiet, withdrawn. Some classmates recalled him as odd, someone who rarely spoke but had sudden, unpredictable outbursts. There were signs. Warnings. Real, documented concerns. His first referral to the UK's Prevent program came in 2020. He was just 14 years old when teachers caught him watching violent extremist content in class. Authorities were notified. The case was reviewed. Then closed. In 2022, another referral. This time, Ruttekabana had been overheard discussing school shootings, expressing admiration for past attackers. Again, Prevent was informed. And again, no further action was taken. Then, in 2023, a third and final warning. A classmate reported that Ruttekabana had compiled a list of people he hated. He had drawn maps, sketched attack points. This time, police were made aware. And still, nothing happened. For the third time, his case was dismissed. His behavior was deemed concerning, but not an immediate threat. He slipped through the cracks. And 1 year later, 3 children were dead. Psychologists who reviewed the case pointed to disturbing patterns. Violent fantasies. Isolation. Obsession with past massacres. A clear trajectory toward violence. But the warnings weren't enough. And the question remained, could someone have stopped him? But what happened after his arrest? What did police find on his devices? With Ruttekabana in custody, detectives turned to his personal life, his bedroom, his laptop, his phone. What they found would only deepen the horror. On his laptop, investigators uncovered thousands of files. Violent videos. Manifestos written by previous attackers. And then, something worse. A journal. A step-by-step plan. He had written everything down, the date, the location, his method. He had been preparing for months. And then, there was his search history. Past massacres. How to obtain weapons. How long it takes for police to respond to a 999 call. This was not an impulsive act. It was deliberate. Premeditated. He had studied other killers. He wanted to be one of them. Inside the courtroom, the families of B.B. King, Elsie Steenkamp, and Alice da Silva Aguiar sat in silence. Just feet away, the men who had taken their daughters from them. Prosecutors presented the evidence, his writings, his online activity, his past threats. Every detail, every piece of planning, laid bare. Then came the testimonies. The parents spoke of their daughters, their laughter, their dreams, their empty bedrooms. They asked the same question over and over again, why? A father broke down on the stand. I send my daughter to dance class, and she never comes home. Then came the moment the country had been waiting for. Axel Ruttekabana, for the murder of 3 innocent children, you will serve a minimum of 52 years in prison. 52 years. For some, it was justice. For others, it wasn't enough. The families weren't just mourning, they wanted justice and change. The trial was over. The verdict had been read. Axel Ruttekabana would spend at least 52 years behind bars. But for the families of B.B. King, Elsie Steenkamp, and Alice da Silva Aguiar, there was no closure. No sentence could bring their daughters back. No punishment could undo what had been done. A parent should never have to bury their child. In the days following the sentencing, Southport became a city in mourning. Outside the dance studio, flowers piled up by the hundreds. Handwritten notes. Stuffed animals. A town, no, a country, grappling with the unthinkable. We sent them to dance, and they never came home. Grief turned into action. Elsie Steenkamp's family started a campaign in her memory. They called it Elsie's Story, an initiative to push for stronger intervention measures for at-risk youth. They wanted accountability. They wanted answers. But most of all, they wanted change, and they weren't alone. Across the UK, people demanded justice, not just for the victims, but for the system that had failed them. They ask the hard questions. Why was Axel Rudakabana allowed to walk free when there had been so many warnings? How did a known risk turn into a national tragedy? And who should be held responsible? The pressure mounted. And soon, the government had no choice but to respond. In response to public outcry, the UK government launched an independent inquiry into the handling of Rudakabana's case. Parliament debated. The media dissected. Former Prevent officials were questioned. Had there been a critical failure? Had the system overlooked a clear and present danger? The findings were damning. Rudakabana had been flagged 3 times. Officials had reviewed his case, assessed his risk level, and dismissed it. One member of parliament called it one of the worst oversights in modern history. If a case like this didn't warrant action, what did? But even as the UK examined its own failures, another agency was about to get involved. Shortly after Rudakabana's conviction, UK authorities requested assistance from an unexpected source, the FBI. There was something in his digital footprint that concerned them. Something hidden. During their forensic analysis of Rudakabana's laptop, police had discovered that large portions of his search history had been wiped. Not just deleted, professionally erased. They needed to know, what had he been trying to hide? Was he acting alone? Or was there something, or someone, influencing him? But was this an isolated case, or a symptom of something much worse? Axel Rudakabana will spend the rest of his life behind bars. But the scars left on Southport will never fully heal. 3 young lives were cut short. B.B. King, just 6 years old. Elsie Stankamp, 7. Alice da Silva Aguiar, 9. Their families will never know what could have been. Their futures, their dreams, forever stolen in a single, horrifying moment. This case raises terrifying questions. Questions about youth violence. About the systems meant to protect us. How many more warning signs will be ignored before another tragedy strikes? Could this attack have been prevented? Was there something more that could have been done to stop Axel Rudakabana before he crossed the line from warning signs to deadly violence? Do you think the justice system failed? Could this attack have been stopped? Was there more that could have been done to prevent this horrific crime? Let us know in the comments below. For more gripping true crime cases that examine justice, the system, and the stories behind the headlines, subscribe now and turn on notifications so you never miss a new episode. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay vigilant, and always question the systems that shape our world.